So welcome to my class. We are doing the class interval series. We are talking about continuous series. We just spoke about construction of continuous series, and in this we are going to talk about what is known as the proportional class interval series, or the relative frequency series, which means simply when we put the frequencies, they are simple frequencies, but if you convert them into percentage, then it becomes a relative frequency distribution. Very interesting. Just have a look. So sometimes it is required to show the relative frequency of occurrences rather than the actual number of occurrences in each class of frequency distribution. All right, so we just want to know the relative frequency of occurrences rather than the actual number. So if actual frequencies are expressed as percent of the total number of observation, then what we get is the relative frequencies, or they are also known as proportional frequencies. So let's take this example now. In the example, this is just a sample of 20 workers, and the amount of wages obtained by them are given here. So we organize this into the form of frequency distribution. So first and foremost, we must convert this data into an array, which I haven't done since we know that. Okay, so it's just a haphazard data that I've given. First things first, you got to convert this into an array. Once you convert it into an array, then the second step is you divide your you have got to put it in different columns. In the first column, we will find wages, and you will divide it into class intervals. Okay, and by tally bars, you will get the frequency. So we've taken 100 and 110. How many are there? 2. We really don't know how many 100, 102, 104, nothing. We know that within this group there are 2 tally bars. So the frequency is 2. That means 2 workers out of the 20 workers get so much wage. 100 to 110 is their wage. So if you want to work out the relative frequency, what do? You take 2 divided by 20 into 100, and that is how you will get the relative frequency. Is that right? So just to make you understand or clear to you, this is how it goes. So we made another, so wages 110 to 120, we've grouped them into this. So we've grouped into 120, 130 by putting the tallying them up, tallying the data. Even if you don't put it in an array, because here I did not put it in an array, but once you know how to do it, you can directly, without making an array, you can use the data and carefully put the tally bars by the time you become adept in it. Alright, so you can do that without arranging it into an array. But this needs a little practice, and once the practice is done, it becomes simpler. So just looking at raw data, put the tally bars, you get the frequency and the relative frequency. For example, 100, let's just take 120 to 130. How many tally bars did you get? 7. So there are 7 workers who are getting the wage between 120 to 130. So what is the relative frequency? That is 35%. So 35% out of the 20 workers are getting how much? They're getting so much money. Wages between 120 to 130. So once again, just let me reiterate and come to an end and say that in the continuous series, just something to remember, that the number of classes should neither be too small or too large. Preferably in between 5 and 15. A class interval should be a multiple of 5, as 5, 10, 15, etc. All class intervals should be equal in size. That's better. So if there are unequal class intervals, we have to make sure that we make them into equal class intervals. That also can be taken up later on. So it is convenient to have lower limit of class either equal to 0 or some multiple of 5. Anyway, open-end classes, till where it's important that it's good to avoid them if possible. And then classify the data into an exclusive series. It's always better to have an exclusive series. And another very important thing is make 3 columns to classify the data. First for the variable, second for the tally bars, and third for the frequency. But yes, in this class, when we were doing the relative frequency, that is to find out the percentage, that's why we made 4 columns. Alright, so that's what we've done today. So